to sit across the table from Xi Jinping. Give you the hard questions.
LGBTQ.
What's up?
You heard me.
I actually didn't.
LGBTQ.
Yep, what about it?
Yeah, you just said there was nothing about transgender.
Yeah, so how about this? I give you the mic, and we hear what you have to say. And then I'm going to answer you, and you'll hear what I have to say, what everybody else here has to say. Does that sound like a good deal?
I don't need the mic. Yes. I can speak louder.
Well, stand up. Tell me your name and state your question.
My name's Alexis Case, and I grew up here.
Okay.
In this town. LGBTQ is a serious situation in this world today. There are children that get bullied because they are gay, they're lesbian, they're transgender. I don't need that.
Okay. You're welcome to have it if you want.
I don't need it.
You get to ask your question, but after that, you're going to hear me give my answer. So I'll let you finish.
What is your stance on LGBTQ?
Good. Thank you for your question. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to go into a level of depth that I don't usually go into on a campaign trail, but I'm going to do it because you asked the question. And you deserve an answer. LGBTQIA, there's so many letters, they've just added a plus at the end. That's where we are now. What's going on? So the same movement, because if we're going to call that one thing, let's play it fair. The same movement that said that the sex of the person you're attracted to is hardwired on the day you're born. That was the premise of the gay rights movement, for it to count as a civil right. That movement is now saying that your own biological sex is totally fluid over the course of your life.
Yeah, there's plenty of contradictions in the LGBTQ movement. They want us to believe that there's no difference between a man or a woman, yet if a man feels like a woman, he can then be a woman. And if he fully wants to become a woman, he has to take hormones, which directly contradicts the original belief that there's no difference between a man or a woman. I think that the LGBTQ movement is the biggest social experiment we have on conformity, because it's taught us one or two things about human beings. Either one, humans are so dumb that we can be told that the sky is green, we can look up and see that it's blue, but then still convince ourselves that it's green. Or two, humans are so afraid of conflict with other humans that they're willing to lie to an entire generation of children in order to just avoid conflict. Either one is scary, but I'm assuming that it's the second one. Humans are just willing to conform.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there. Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
Have a seat and they'll be out in just a couple minutes. Great, thanks so much.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do? We kept the cameras rolling as more unsuspecting patients arrived. And slowly but surely, what began as a random rule for this woman has now become the social norm for everyone in this waiting room. Here to explain what's going on in their brains is Jonah Berger of the University of Pennsylvania.
This sort of internalized form of herd behavior is part of what we call social learning. Starting at a very early age, when we see members of our group perform a task, our brains literally reward us for following in their footsteps.
When I saw everybody stand up, I felt like I needed to join them. Otherwise, I'm like excluded. Once I decided to go with it, then I felt much more comfortable.
Conformity is how we become socialized, but it can also cause us to develop bad habits or repeat past wrongs.
And it's why even this rebel, who wasn't standing for any of this nonsense, eventually joined the ranks. And the only thing more shocking than seeing how easily conformity affects the way you act is that similar forces are subconsciously shaping the way you think.
Hypocrite. You can't believe both those things. Well, I think I'm going to get to a deeper say. That's where I was about a year or two ago, but I think there's something deeper going on, and I'll tell you what it is. So the same movement, and by the way, let's think about the women's rights movement in this country, which said there's many ways to be a woman. You can have long hair, short hair, you can wear a skirt, you can wear jeans. Now says that, oh, if actually you want to behave a certain way, that means you're a man. So I think that the hypocrisies go all the way down, and I'll tell you what's going on. You can't believe both of those things at the same time if you're operating according to principles of sheer logic. But you can if you're adopting a faith, a cult-like belief system. So, this is controversial for me to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think. I believe that transgenderism specifically is a mental health disorder. I believe it's a mental health condition.
Okay.
Nobody cares what they think.
Well, no. We're going to finish this. This is good. We have to have open conversation in this country. But I don't think the
Not a
compassionate
fucking
thing to do.
mental health disorder.
Well,
It's how they fucking feel.
well, let me. If I'm going to give you a chance to respond if you'd like, but
No,
we can't have an open
think.
debate in this country if we're not able to state our views.
That's how they feel.
That's how they feel. And you know what? I'll tell you a story, and you deserve to hear this. I met two young women in this race about 6 months ago. Their names were Chloe and Katie, two young women. They're in their 20s now. Both of them had their breasts cut off. One of them had her uterus removed.
Okay.
They're in their 20s. They regret that decision. One of them wants to have kids. She'll never have kids. The other one will never breastfeed her children. They'll never be the same because they had that done to them when they were teenagers. So no, when a young person shows up and says, my gender doesn't match my biological sex, they're asking for help.
But you just said 20. That's not
They happened to them when one girl was 13 when it happened to her. She's in her 20s now and regrets it. This is what's wrong in this country. We will look back at this and say this was barbaric that we allowed this to happen in this country. That is not compassion. That is cruelty. And so I don't think the right thing to do is, I'm not going to villainize those people. You don't villainize people who are going through suffering, but you have to be willing to say when a kid shows up and says, my gender doesn't match my biological sex, you have to be able to say, what else is going wrong at home? What else might be going wrong at school? Get to the bottom of what's going on. Help that person with compassion, with dignity. So my view is this: if you're an adult, you're free to live your life however you want as long as you're not hurting somebody else. If you're a man, you can dress how you want. If you're a woman, you can dress how you want. Identify how you want. We're a free country and I'm not going to stop you. But kids are not the same as adults. And we have to protect our children. And I'm going to go further than that. We can't change the way that women and men compete in sports. We can't do that. We can allow you to live your life the way you want to. But we can't change the way that we operate in our own life. And I'm going to finish this thought and then you get to respond. Because I think this is good. We don't do this enough. Open debate. I love this. I think what we've had in our country before is a tyranny of the majority. And that's what we worry about. But right now we don't have a tyranny of the majority. What we have in this country right now is a tyranny of the minority. That's what we have right now. A tyranny of the fringe minority that tells you to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. No, we have to stand for what is true. And so I promise you, you will have a chance to respond. I'm going to keep my promise. You tell me. This is good. We don't do this enough in our country anymore. Open conversation. Tell me.
I was a child when I knew that I was gay. Not the fact that I wanted to change my gender, but living here in this town, I knew that I wanted, that I was a lesbian, that I was attracted to females.
And you know what's
But I had to hide it.
And when did you grow? When was that? In the 90s?
Oh, no. Let's see. I came out when I was 19, so I was born in 1983.
So I think where we are now, we're in the similar generation. I think things today aren't what they were. I grew up in Ohio in the 1990s, and we're in a different place today. And I think this could be a very productive conversation. I don't get to do this in the campaign trail often, where we all are in our own echo chambers and silos. So it's good for us to talk to each other. I like that. Something funny's happened, I think, in the last few years in this country with the civil rights movement. It's right when we get to closest to the promised land of true racial equality that we then start obsessing over systemic racism. It's right when we get to the point in our national history where whoever you are, you can marry who you want, where you want, if you want, whatever gender they are, that we start then obsessing over the sexual identity revolution. You know what's actually funny right now is many people who are lesbian or gay are being taught to say that, hey, if you're a woman attracted to a woman, you're not a woman, you're a man. So that's the transgender movement. The L and the G, first of all, don't have that much to do with each other. The G and the T don't have as much to do with each other. But we're clubbing all of these things up to create more division. I hate the term persons of color. You want to know why? You take 100 different cultures, combine them into one thing that's designed to be opposed to this other thing we call white. And so the way I view this is, you are free to live your life the way you wish to, as long as you don't hurt anybody else in return. And I'm free to do the same thing too. But that doesn't mean we change the way men and women compete in sports. That doesn't mean we change the way men and women, I don't think that just because you identify as a man doesn't mean that you're entitled to a trophy. Do you agree with me on that?
That's different.
You agree with me on that?
I get you. I get you.
You agree with me on that? All right.
Get you. That's different.
Because men shouldn't be swimming with women in women's sports competitions. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's
different.
That's what I'm talking about, right?
That's
And so that's what I'm saying is it's not all the same thing, right? And so we got to respect people and treat them with dignity. Every one of us is different. But all I'll say is kids aren't the same as adults, and if we can agree on that, then I think we at least made some progress tonight and we'll have a step forward. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I respect her for asking that. That takes courage to stand up and be the only. You know what? I'll tell you this. When you're the only person in a room, and I'll come to you next, when you're the only person in a room who believes what you do, I will always tell you, stand up and say it. That's how we're going to get this country back, is actually all of us starting to speak openly again. And that's how we're going to get this country back. And I love your shirt. She's got an American flag, so you get the next question.
I'm happy Vivek made quick work of this conversation because, to be honest, to still be having this conversation in 2024 is just embarrassing at this point. America has real issues now. Illegal immigration, that's a real issue. Being on the brink of World War III, that's a biggie. Big Daddy Biden and the rest of the government making it rain with our tax dollars like we had a damn strip club. These are real issues. The name of the game in this next election is gas and groceries. Who's gonna boost the economy to bring back the middle class? That's what we care about. Over the past 3 elections, we've been force-fed these social issues as if we care about them as normal Americans, as if these companies care about them that promote them. What's more likely? Nike cares about you identifying as trans, or Nike just doing whatever it takes to slang more tennis shoes? The truth of the matter is, The companies don't care, and we don't care. And the only way this movement can continue to exist is if we act like we care. Normal Americans don't care about the proper pronouns of a potato. Normal Americans don't care about what you identify as or who you sleep with in the privacy of your own bedroom. And we need to stop acting like we care so we can have the important conversations. What's happening to the middle class? Why can't I afford a loaf of bread? Why can't I afford auto insurance? Why can't my children ever afford a home? These are the conversations that need to be had in this next election, not LGBTQ rights. Once they can figure out who they are, then we can figure out what to do with them. But until then, we need to focus on gas and groceries. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or a L, and give me the HBO special. That's a Help Brother Out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.